Hello again. My name is Theo Brady from Theo Brady Consultant, and I'm bringing you another episode of Something Need to Be Said. And the reason I started Something Need to Be Said because I invite change agents to talk about the great things they are doing in Pennsylvania and in their local communities, and something need to be said about them. Today, my invited guest is Lisa Aquila. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. She is an active board member and volunteer for Disability Quality Education, known as D. And D is a cross disability organization led by people with disabilities who are expert in the field of inclusive disability education and advocacy. And so, my invited guest again is Lisa. And so, hi, Lisa, how are you doing?
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. And as Theo said, I'm with Disability Equality Education, wearing a black and white shirt, shoulder length hair, and wearing a headset. I use the
And
pronouns he, she, and hers.
awesome, awesome. Again, I have an orange shirt and I'm bald with glasses and a gray beard. So, thank you for that intro and describing yourself, Lisa. So, Lisa, um, I always start this by saying to my invited guests, I want to hear their story because we all have a story. My story is when I was playing high school football at age 15, I broke my neck and I became a quadriplegic. And so it's always something propels us into this area of advocacy and independent living movement. So really just want to hear your story and feel free to talk about whatever you want to share with the listeners.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, everybody does have a story. And although I've been with Dee for 5 years, I want to go back a little ways because my advocacy really started in the 90s when I became aware of the challenges that my friend had because her son was under the age of 21 at the time and he was severely disabled. But she wanted to keep him at home and care for him, but she needed lots of supports in order to do that, to remain living at home. And through our advocacy, we learned how supports could be obtained from the ways childhood Social Security benefits were determined. And together we uncovered something that not many people knew about at the time. We came across this Supreme Court ruling known as Sullivan versus Zebedee. And after we discovered that, my friend's son was one of the first applicants to apply. And since then, I've really been an advocate for independent living, been helping family members stay in their home when they became disabled, and later clients and consumers through my direct care worker job. And I'm very convinced that there's no place like home, I'll tell you that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And you said you was a home care worker, and so how they provided home care place you in the role you have today and working with this nonprofit.
Well, working with the nonprofit came about, like I said, 5 years ago. And I'm really thankful for the path my life took in order to put me in situations that allow me to visit places like Liberty Resources. That's our Center for Independent Living in Philadelphia. They call them SILS.
Hmm.
And upon visiting there with my consumers, I noticed that there was a lot of conference rooms named after people that I'd never heard of before. And
Right,
I was
right.
intrigued by that. I figured they must be important if they have these rooms named after them. So I did some research, and it was like one of those wow moments.
Right.
Uh, because if I never visited there, I wouldn't have learned about the leaders of the disability rights movement. And some of those leaders I actually met. So I consider myself one of the lucky ones. Having that privilege has made me a stronger person in my life.
Right. Okay.
And
All
for
right.
example, like if you Google the signing of the ADA,
Mm-hmm.
any image that comes up, you're going to see President Bush seated in the Rose Garden on July 26, 1990, with a gentleman on either side of him seated in wheelchairs. One with the cowboy hat is Justin Dart, and on the
Mm-hmm.
other side is Evan Kemp.
Mm-hmm.
And they were both very important people in the thread of our nation, but our kids aren't learning about them.
All right. Right.
And hearing these stories taught me so much back then. And now I draw strength in the last couple of years from knowing these stories because
Mm-hmm.
I actually received a diagnosis that made me not anymore just an advocate, but as a member of the community.
All right.
As you know, anybody can become disabled at any time in their life.
Yeah.
And
One
that's why
decision
kids
often
should learn
say.
about it.
Yep. I often say just one decision away. Yep.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all
But
kids should have the opportunity to hear these empowering stories like the ones I know.
right. Right. And it's your position that they're not right. They're not
Right,
hearing
sir.
these stories. Okay. Okay.
And that's what we set out to change with disability equality in education. To
Right.
bring conversation into the classrooms, not just for the disabled kids, but for the non disabled too, so that they will know, have like a comfort level interacting with their peers that may have a disability, and also to view disability through a lens not of pity, which is often the case, but through, knowing these contribution stories and viewing it through an empowering lens,
Yes.
more
Yes.
of deficit or burden.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I hear you. So you mentioned disability equality in education, which is known as D. Tell me a little bit more about that nonprofit organization.
Okay. Well, let's see, from July 17 till June of this year, we were selected to manage what they call the Stigma Project in
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania. And we were funded through the Pennsylvania Developmental Disabilities Council to do that. And I've been involved, since the inception of the program. The Stigma Project is now over, but our nonprofit status enables us to continue our work that we started in Pennsylvania, and now we can offer it beyond Pennsylvania. These resources remain free to all educators anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And what our mission is basically is to pave the way for an equitable future free from bullying and stereotyping. And we want to bring this into the classroom in the general education setting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this way the next generation can grow up without the prejudice that ignorance can create.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and, you know, um, we got to realize that if we start out young from K to 12, we'll influence the advocates and activists of tomorrow and the employers of tomorrow so they have the appropriate attitudes
Yeah.
toward
Yeah.
persons with disabilities.
Yeah. I have taught at Milledgeville University as well as Temple University as adjunct,
Mhm.
and every time I ask my students, uh, 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 you know, is this something you learned in high school? And the answer is no, no.
Mhm.
At that college level, that's the first time they ever heard anything about the independent living movement, the philosophy, and the history of people with disabilities, and that is really sad because
It
they learn
is.
about all the other things that are throughout our history, but when it comes to the disability history movement, not a word is being said. So, what beyond the nonprofit? Have you
Mhm.
done or do anything that really moves the needle towards a better tomorrow for people with disabilities? Can you share about that?
Yeah, I'm really excited to tell you about this. After the Stigma Project ended in June,
Mm-hmm.
it happened in July. That's very exciting. Uh, for about 3 years almost, we lobbied to get a bill passed called the Disability Inclusive Curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, the bill was named 7/26 after the signing date of the ADA, July 26.
Mm-hmm.
But what came about in July of this year was that our bill was no longer a bill. It was included in a bigger picture of the education code that the governor signed.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened originally was in 2019, I attended a disability summit hosted by my state representative.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few weeks later, I requested a meeting with him right in his neighborhood office. And we presented the idea of how a bill could make it really make a difference, so that all schools would have curriculum that was truly inclusive. And that began to work towards the legislation, which I said was just passed.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was hard work, but it can be done. I mean, the past 3 years, we've attended meetings to prepare for hearings and gather testimonies, make presentations to policymakers. And this February, we met with the Department of Education subcommittee in Harrisburg, and they actually said this was the most impressive hearing that they ever had. Uh, and what I think pushed this bill to fruition was that it was a bipartisan effort.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are. We're invisible no more in the curriculum, and Pennsylvania is setting a precedence for true inclusion. They will have a 3-year pilot program that will be rolled out in 2023. And we really hope that we are a part of that, because now that is the most important thing, that
Uh,
the disabled voice remains part of this rollout.
yeah, yeah. So you achieved this great building and got it passed. So what do you then say to folks, right, who will say to you the work is done?
The work has just begun, actually. I mean, to sustain our nonprofit means we maintain our work in developing the curriculum. And although we have the most comprehensive disability curriculum in the United States, it's not complete. We
Mm-hmm.
need to have full representation across all identities. We need to build on the curriculum for the disability rights movement, and we need to have a broaden of our coalition um, in order to keep the momentum. And we
Mm-hmm.
really need support to continue to elevate disabled voices in our work at D,
Mm-hmm.
so that we
Mm-hmm.
can be a part of this legislation and in the process itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We want this to be about us and nothing about us without us. And
Mm-hmm.
we don't want just experts in the field to be um, overseeing this, unless, of course, the experts have a disability themselves.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
You know,
I
so
understand.
it's really a crucial time for us. So we're inviting organizations who want to be remembered for their involvement in this precedent-setting time in the history of Pennsylvania to contact us, so that we can continue what we started and define our roles with the Department of Ed as we prepare for this, rollout.
Mm-hmm.
We
And they
really,
can contact you how?
they can contact us through an email, info@disabilityequalityeducation.org,
Mm-hmm.
or they can go onto our Facebook page at support, capital
Mm-hmm.
SUPPORT, capital PA, HB 726.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
you know, we feel that at this time, all eyes are going to be on us, and maybe we can replicate this so that other states will join too, and
Mm-hmm.
they will see the importance of incorporating disability into curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, disability is one of the largest marginalized groups, yet we don't learn about their contributions in history.
Yeah, and that's a shame. That's a shame. So
Mm-hmm.
the great work is you're doing is definitely needed. So how can people give to support your efforts, Lisa?
They can contribute through Give Lively.
Mm-hmm.
Um, They can send a check to Disability, Equality, and Education, and you can write that out to D. Or they can even, a small donation would help us out to recognize us as the charity of choice on Amazon Smile. And Amazon Smile um, does contribute to nonprofits. We're a 501(c) and tax exempt organization.
Yes,
Um,
yes. I just put that information up, so your listeners can definitely, just pause this video and make sure they get it down correctly. And every little bit counts.
that's right.
Yeah, we need support. We need education, and everyone can make a difference. So
I
please.
mean, the thing about it is that um, we're like the new cause on the block. This is something that never has been done before.
Hmm.
So uh, people don't even really know what we've been up to. So we need to share, get the word out, spread the news. And when we apply for grants, sometimes there's not a funding category even set up for that because we're so, that's kind of the price of innovation. When you're new, you have to find your niche.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Last question. What advice would you give to someone that want to contribute to systemic change?
Well, I was just the pebble in the water and I started a ripple, but it's collectively that we can make that wave. And
Yeah,
anybody can really, they have to realize their legislators work for them. Okay, so if you want something to change, you have to knock on their door and be a constant nudge in their office and on the phone, and make your cause known.
yeah.
And if you don't know how to contact your legislators, you can go onto a website and just put in your address and zip code, and that'll take you right to let you know who your state representative and senator is, and ways to contact them through phone, in person, or email.
Awesome.
Anybody can make a wave if they set their mind to it.
Amen. Amen. I'm going to show a little clip here that you sent me, and I thought it was something that someone need to see. So if just give me a second, I'm going to show it. Okay.
Sure, thank you.
If we teach kids about disability rights and maybe don't stop being jerks to disabled people, that would be kind of nice.
Disability is a natural part of human diversity. Equality is a human right. That, my friends, is something we cannot learn enough about. Lisa Aquila, advocate, Northeast Philadelphia.
That was a recording done by our fellow listeners. Very important work. Let's make a wave together and change. Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. Make a wave. Throw a pedal in the water. Make a wave. I love those words. So, what else can you give us in regard to last word, Lisa?
Well, I want to bring your attention once again to our website, disabilityequalityeducation.org.
Hmm.
Take a look there. And, if you have children in school, bring the attention to the teachers. We championed 14 schools in the 21-22 school year, and we mentored teachers there. They taught our lessons, and the impact was fantastic. We did an assessment, and after kids were exposed to this information, they had a new attitude. So it's working.
All right, make a wave. Throw a pillow in the water, make a wave. Lisa, I want to thank you and say this to you. You are an ordinary person making an extraordinary difference. And I want to thank you for being on this episode of Something Need to Be Said, because certainly something need to be said about what you are doing and all that you do for educating people with diverse disabilities about the history of people, the significant things that people have done. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Again, look forward to another episode of Something Need to Be Said with my today's guest is Lisa. And Lisa, again, you are an ordinary person doing extraordinary things. Thank you very much.
Thank you.